Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about snake plant. There are many different varieties of it. It's very commonly kept as an indoor plant, although I keep it outdoors here in Zone 10B in Florida. This is where my snake plants live, in bright Florida sun. We're in the sun for the majority of the day and get a lot of water as a result of the rain. But you can see in here that they have their own offshoots. So if I were to propagate, I would just grab one of these and pop it out. But as I'm going to show you, we can also propagate by taking any one of the leaves. So I'm probably going to tend to get a couple of bent leaves every once in a while, especially when they get long or too much sun, which I would expect since they're outside in the Florida heat during summer. So I'm gonna chop these pretty low, and on the other one, again similar, you can see that we have this little offshoot that actually grew up relatively recently. So this one would have probably its own root system, so I could just pull that one out, create a plant. But that's the easy way, so we're gonna also take this hanging one. I'm going to get down in here and cut this as low as possible, so we have a big leaf to work with. You can cut it into as many pieces as you want. Each one will grow roots, so they can become new plants. I will probably just cut it into a few pieces. What's important though is that you put it in the water or the soil in the same direction that it was growing. And then let's just move over here to the next plant. And we're going to do the same thing here. Just trying to cut as low as possible. You could cut higher up if you want, maybe just where it's bent, but again, I want to have as much to work with as we can and still have it look nice in the propagation pots. These ones also, you can see, have a lot of offshoots at the bottom. Really the easiest way to propagate, but we will be using these today. So this is the second piece, another big piece that we'll work with. Here are the pieces that we are working with. Make sure to remember the direction that they're growing in. Of course, if you keep the tops on, it's much easier to remember, but once you start cutting it up, it could get a little bit harder to remember. I usually try to just lay them in the same direction as a way to remind myself and not mess up, because they won't grow. Once you have the pieces, you just need to decide how many cuttings you want to make. So I'm going to start here at the top. Cut this and put that into the water. I'll probably put more of them into the water, just a couple in the gritty mix. Another one at the top here. Put that one in the water, and then two of the middle pieces. And another one. And then the last two pieces I'm going to put in the soil. They will stay like this until they start to grow roots, and then I will transplant them to pots outside. Here we are at a 3-week update, and I did notice on the one with water, we're starting to see roots. So I did change the water every couple of days just so it was clean, didn't get funky, but we're starting to see some roots. So let's check out. This one does not quite have roots yet. Well, I can see the beginnings maybe of one right there. Okay, let's see this one. So this one has a little bit of growth right there. Little spot in the middle that's going to turn into a root soon. This one, the same thing. You can see that little white spot in the middle is the beginning of a root. And I think this one might be our winner. Yes, it is. This is the winner here. So you can see all the root growth that this one has, which looks really good for 3 weeks. So I will keep these ones in here until all of them have at least a little bit of roots before I get them outside. And now we can look at the ones in the gritty mix. So these do look pretty dry. I had been putting them in water twice a week, but since the gritty mix is gritty and doesn't retain moisture, you can see that they just look super dry, especially this one, and really not too much. It could be root growth. It could be the fibers of the inside. I would have to give these ones a little bit longer to see. But so far, if there is root growth, it is not as significant as the ones that are growing in the water. So I may try for however long this experiment continues to just get them into water a little bit more often to try to promote some growth. We are at the 1 month mark today, so I figured this would be another good time to check out the progress in roots on the snake plant cuttings that we have done. So you can even see just from the bottom here that the ones in the water have grown roots. So I'll show you each of them individually. So these can actually just go straight into some soil at this point. I might wait till they get a little bit longer, but they are good to go. This is the one that has the most roots. Looks really good. So this way couldn't possibly be any easier. You do see this is the only one that doesn't have large roots yet, but you see the beginning. I'm not sure if you can see the beginning of a root, that little white dot right there. So yeah, maybe I'll wait a little bit longer until that one has large roots. This one just started also, and a larger root right here too. And this last piece got some roots also. So I would say probably about 6 weeks in the water would be good. And if you make the cuttings look nice and put it in a vase, it actually can kind of serve as a decorative piece also. Obviously you can see that I tried to do that with both of mine here. Although what I'm finding with the ones in the grading mix is that I probably didn't keep them as wet as I needed to. So, you know, in reading online, you see that you need to root the snake plants in a well-draining soil. But the problem is that if it's too gritty, it's not holding in enough moisture. And clearly these do well with moisture when trying to root. So you can see that there is some, you know, kind of rooting beginning here, but really it, you know, it dried out. Even with 1 or 2 times a week, I would actually just drop it into the water here rather than watering this, obviously, to make a mess out of it. Drop it into the water, and then I'd kind of, you know, make a little hole and dig it back in. And then this one too. Again, you can see the beginnings of maybe some root growth. But to be honest, I wouldn't even bother with this if I were trying to root it inside. I would just go with the water because, you know, the results are better. It's pretty. So I would either do that strategy, or what I've been doing usually is when I have a cutting, I'll just stick it in next to the actual snake plant that's outside and just let it root on its own. That way, not even bother bringing it in. But I did want to just try this out, especially because I've had success by just sticking them back in the soil. Regular watering, especially here in Florida, just keeping them outside and having the rain serve as the watering. In most cases, people would probably consider that overwatering, but because of the temperature here in Florida being so hot, the snake plants actually thrive out there. So I did just want to see what it might look like if I had less moisture for them and also more moisture. So as I'm seeing, they like water more when it comes to rooting. So inside, we'll go with this method. Outside, just gonna cut them and stick them into the soil. Hope this was helpful.
Subscribe to learn more with us.